Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your bro, hope you're doing well, and in this video we're going to discuss variables in JavaScript, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you find this video helpful, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support will help keep this channel running. A variable is a unique identifier for some value. Remember way back in algebra during math class in school where we had to solve for a variable in an equation such as finding the value of x, and x was some representation of a value? Well, it's the same concept, however, we are not limited to only numbers. We can use variables as a representation for words, Boolean values which are either true or false, or even objects. So let's begin with creating a variable to hold a number. Now, creating a variable is done in two steps, declaration and assignment. First, we need to declare our variable by typing var, and then we need a unique identifier for our variable. Let's say age, and we'll store a number. Var age, that's the declaration step, and then to assign a value to this variable, we complete the assignment step by using equals, which is the assignment operator, and then some value. Let's say our age is 21, and then to finish declaring and assigning this variable, we end each statement with a semicolon. It's kind of like the period in a sentence. That's when your program knows to go to the next sentence, go to the next line. So we have a variable named age, and for all intents and purposes, age is the number 21, and we can use it in our program. Let's say that I would like to display the value contained within age to my console. Well, I can use the log method of console to display that. However, be sure that you're not placing it within quotes. That is referred to as a string literal. We're literally going to print the word age. And a string is really just a series of characters, but we'll cover that momentarily. So to access the value contained within a variable, we type the variable name without quotes. So I'm going to display my age using the log method to my console, and this will display the value 21, and you can change or update this value whenever you want or whenever you need to. And we also have the capability to display our variable along with some text, along with a string literal. Let's say we have a message, your age is, then to display a variable along with some text, a string literal, we can use plus. Your age is plus our age variable, and this will display to our console, your age is 21. So that's how you can display a variable along with a string of text. Alternatively, instead of plus, you can use a comma, and what this will do is that this will insert a space before your variable. So you can see that I have two spaces between is and my variable, so I'm just going to delete the empty space I have after my string literal. So that's another option too. Your age is, comma, then your variable that you would like to insert. Not only can we store numbers within a variable, but we can even store words or whole sentences. These are referred to as strings. A string is basically a series of characters, one or more characters. Let's store somebody's name. So let's create a variable named firstName. A good practice when naming variables is to use this format called camel case. If your variable name is made up of multiple words, you capitalize every word after your first word. So first would be all lowercase, and then name would be capital. So if we had, let's say, last name, this would be var last name. Or if we had something else like my cool variable, you capitalize each word after the first, excluding the first word. So that naming convention is referred to as camel case. It's not technically necessary in order for your program to work, but it's considered good practice. So we have this variable firstName, and we can assign a string. So to assign a string, be sure to place it within quotes, kind of like what we did with our message, our string literal. So you can use whatever your own first name is. So let's say mine is bro. I'm going to assign this variable firstName a value of bro. Now we can use this firstName variable elsewhere in my program. Let's display it along with a message to my console. Let's say console.log. I'll display a string literal of hello, comma, first name. Now pay attention to the capitalization because JavaScript is case sensitive. So if I was to run this program, this will display your age is 21, hello, bro. One other data type that we can assign to a variable is referred to as a boolean. A boolean stores either true or false. It's kind of like a light switch. It's either on or it's off. So let's say we have a variable that will store a value of true or false. Perhaps if somebody is online, they're either online or they're offline. So let's create a variable named online, and we can set this to either true if somebody is online or false if somebody is offline. So I'm going to set this to true, and we can use this variable. So let's print this to our console. Console.log. Let's say, are you online? Then comma, online. Your age is 21. Hello, bro. Are you online? That is true. So that is another data type, a boolean. A boolean is either true or it's false. Now, when we create a variable, we do so in two different steps, declaration and assignment, and we do not necessarily need to do both steps together. We can declare a variable and then assign it later. So let's say we have a variable named maybe whatever. So I'm not going to assign this a value quite yet because I do not know what I want to place here. So I'm going to display this variable to my console. So let's type console.log, and if you use a variable that does not have a value assigned, it's going to display undefined. That means we did not assign this variable a value. So we declared a variable, but we did not assign it a value, and we can do so elsewhere in this program later on. So that becomes very useful when we get to the section on user input. We can declare a variable such as name, and we can have a user type in their name later on in the program and assign it a value. So to assign a variable a value, we do not need to use this var keyword again. We already declared this variable. So let's say our variable, whatever, equals, how about a last name? Use whatever your last name is, code. So whatever now equals code. We did these two steps separately to create a variable, declaration and assignment. And in my console, my variable of whatever is no longer undefined. This next data type, it's kind of a strange one. We can assign a value of null. Null essentially means nothing, as in this variable does not contain a value. So if I assign my variable of whatever null, that just means that there's no value assigned to this variable. And with variables, we can easily change or alter a variable's value after they've already been assigned. Let's say we would like to increment somebody's age by 1 because it's their birthday. We can easily do so by saying age equals age plus 1. So now somebody's age is 22 if it's 21 initially, and later on we add 1 to it. We can even combine strings together. Let's say we have another variable named lastName, and you can use whatever your last name is. I will store a string of code. And we can create a new variable. Let's say var fullName equals firstName plus lastName. This is referred to as string concatenation. So I'm going to display hello fullName, and this will display hello bro code. So with variables, you can change their values later on in the program after they've already been assigned. Now, besides using this var keyword to declare a variable, there's two additional options as well, one of which is let. Basically, when we use this let keyword, we can temporarily assign a variable a limited scope. So that won't really make much sense now until we get to the videos on loops and functions where we cover different scopes. So basically, we can temporarily assign a value to a variable within a limited scope. Now, another option is to use this const keyword, referred to as constant. So it's a constant reference to a value that cannot be changed. Let's say we have a variable named pi, and we do not want the value of pi to change because it's important for our mathematical equations. So let's say pi equals the first few digits of pi, 3.14159. So I cannot alter a value that is declared using const. It's a constant reference to a value that cannot be changed. And let me try to do so. Pi now equals 4. And I will log this to my console, whatever pi is. So you can see that we have an error. Assignment to constant variable. So that's something that you might see as well, which is const. It's a constant reference that cannot be changed. Well, I think that's enough about variables for today. With variables, they are a container for some sort of value, and they behave as the value that they contain. You can store more than just numbers. You can store strings, booleans, all sorts of things. So if you would like a copy of all this code, I will post all of this to the comment section down below. But yeah, that is the basics of variables in JavaScript.